Today is Palm Sunday, and Easter is next week. Normally, we have a month to prepare for this. I see surprises. Somebody didn't know it was Easter. um, we normally take a month to prepare for understanding the journey of Jesus Christ and his gift to the planet. You know, as metaphysical Christians, we believe in the infinite power of God to move through us. We believe in that love, that we're to love everyone. We see the miracles of matter moving when we pray and ask, and we accept that we're God's divine children of light. The entire life of Jesus was demonstrating that connectedness with God. Everything I do, you shall do, and greater is what he said. Once you understand, I have so much more to tell you I can't tell you now because you can't understand. But I will tell you. And over time, we've opened our minds 2,000 years, and we're able to hear and understand that we are the children of God, and we weren't abandoned on this planet and said, good luck. God is in us and with us and a part of us, and we have the capacity to live and breathe and create the reality we want to experience. That's the gift that we have from God. So Easter is the metaphysical of the metaphysical. Christendom doesn't understand it, but it is the metaphysical of the metaphysical. It is the manifestation of spirit over matter, which is what metaphysics is about, understanding the energy that creates a reality. So I want to start, I'm going to walk you through a few little things about Jesus' journey. We all know that when Jesus was young, he went to the many countries and he talked to the masters of the day. And he was a little child learning and talking with them, and he would eventually teach them his truth. And so he went from country to country learning the various religions of the day. Then he went through a school of Heliopolis where he subjected himself to the mystery school tests, where he was learning about who he was. He let himself yield to these experiences so he could find himself before he began his walk. And when he was finished with that, there was a meeting of the 7 sages of the earth at the time. All of the leaders of every faith, every age got together to decide how they'd move forward. They discussed the problems of their countries and what the solution might be. And Jesus, of course, was invited to that meeting because most of them had already met him. They knew him. They knew he was the fabulous light. And they were coming up with their postulates, and Patrick's class should know this well. If any of you are in his class, this is what you just studied. They were coming up with ideas to create a church that would heal not only their country, but every country, like my country needs this, my country needs this. So they had these ideas, they were coming together. And they said, the Holy One has sent to us a man illumined by efforts of unnumbered years to lead these thoughts of men. This man approved by all the masterminds of heaven and earth, the man from Galilee, Jesus, we gladly recognize and we gladly ask him to be the one to take these postulates to create a new church of heaven on earth. What a great honor, right? The entire world was coming together, the leaders, and said, yes, you can do this. And as the story goes, Jesus meditated, and he came back to them, and he thanked them. He said, truly, what you have put together is very wise and wonderful, and it would bring everybody to the goal, but man is not yet ready. And he said this, I have lost my will to that of holy breath. I go my way to speak and act as I am moved to speak and act. I cannot do what you ask me to do. I have to do what God asks me to do. And he says, I am a model maker. My task is with my native land. And there I will build a postulate that love is Son of God. And I am come to manifest that love. And that is what he told the sages. They, of course, accepted it. He said, I will have select 12 men. The model church will live. There will come a time after this when what you all have created will be able to exist. But for this age, it cannot. So I have to set a pattern for this age, that man is Son of God, and love rules all. That's where he stood. He said in the coming age there would be complete oneness of all with God. After making his declaration, immediately he went to John. And this is when he went home to his country, and he went to John the Baptist, and he allowed himself to be baptized. And most of you know the story if you've been in Christendom in any length of time at all. John says, I'm not going to baptize you. You're pure. You don't need to be baptized. And Jesus said, yes, I want to. I want to do what I am going to ask every man to do. And baptism was a symbolic release of all past errors and a commitment to a future walk. He allowed himself to be baptized. And we know the voice from heaven said, this is my beloved Son of God, the Christ, in whom I am well pleased. And do you know what he did next? He went to the wilderness. This is the famous story of the desert. He had already been acknowledged by the sages. He already knew where he was going with God. He'd already found himself. He'd already been baptized, and he went to the wilderness to ask if he had it in him to do what he needed to do. And he meditated and he prayed, and that's where it says he fought his biggest foe. He fought his own ego. He fought his own ego. His ego said, yeah, do this, you'll be famous. Yeah, do this, and then they can show how much God loves you. Yeah, put yourself in that precarious situation and do that. And then people can see how much God loves you and how different you are from us and how elevated you are from us and how you're better than us. Do you hear the ego's work? And it says 40 days and 40 nights he struggled with his ego. And this is what I wanted to read with you. Jesus left the wilderness, and in the consciousness of holy breath, he came to the camps of John and started to teach. This is a moment where he became his God self. In the consciousness of holy breath. He had lived it in all of the stories up until that point. But can you see that every point, if you had hit any of those points, wouldn't you have gone, yes, I arrived? I've done it. Yay. Yay, I've done what God needed me to do. But it wasn't until he was able to let the ego go could he become the Christ consciousness and bring that to the planet. In that moment, Jesus Christ became the gift. He became the gift that he was going to give. He was able to hold his energy in love, because love does not vibrate through your ego. And this is really difficult for us to understand, and I'm going to stick with the path, but I just wanted to say this. Are any of your egos vibrating? Anybody saying, I don't like what you're saying so far, Cindy? One of my first minister teachers said, I said, Barbara, I've got this great idea. I want to do a workshop on ego. And she goes, She said, do you know the old saying, speak of the devil and up he pops? I said, I've heard that. Have you all heard that? Speak of the ego and up he pops. She said, you will have every single person in your audience rallying against you if you start. And this is back in the 80s. And I went, okay. I did not do the workshop. Well, how many years has it been, guys? 40? A lot. A lot of years since the 80s. Hopefully we can handle this with grace. Anytime we buck up against, anytime we need to make a stand for something by God, anytime you've hurt my feelings, anytime I'm weeping about my poor little self, it's all ego. Ego is the representation of how you are interacting with the outer world. Is my Christ, my higher self Christ, crying because, I didn't get my way? It's laughing. Why are you so attached to that? Why? The Christ in us, the truth of us, the divinity of us, does not flow through those ego moments. And Jesus had to prepare his self to become a vehicle of the divine. So I want to take you just a little bit further. He had become the vehicle. I want you to realize what he did then. He did not go out just as teacher, rabbi, master. He did not. He was the one who stopped arguing with the masters. I don't want to fight with you guys. I'm going to teach over here. I'm going to teach over here. I don't want to fight with you guys. When they came to him and was in his face, of course, he would enlighten them. But he didn't seek the masters of the Jewish faith like he had before the other faiths. Why? Do you remember one of them came to him at one point and said, why don't you just come and heal us? Heal all the Jews. We'll listen to you. The Pharisees will listen to you. Well, let's change our religion. And Jesus said to him, no, if I put my knowledge, love of God, and all I know in the Jewish faith, there is no room for it. And that is when he said, the new wine cannot go in the old wineskin. The form of this faith cannot hold who I am, cannot hold the gift I'm bringing to you. Because who did he talk to? The common people. Do you know who the common people are? Just a mass of people that we can't identify because they're not distinguishable from anybody else. They're just common. The common people. Do you understand? Of course, he would talk to anyone who would hear him, but the fact that he talked to the common people, this was not right. This is not right. That he would give his gift to the common people and not to the scribes and Pharisees. But who was ready to receive? For 3 years, he spoke his truth. He taught these things. God is your Father. He taught the common people of their soul. He said, you have a soul. No man can control that soul. Don't worry about what anyone tells you. It's yours. He taught the common people of Christ and love. Live in love, no matter what it looks like, live in love. And he taught them about Spirit's interaction with this reality, how Spirit can move matter. If you have the faith of the grain of the mustard seed, you can turn to the mountain and say, move mountain, and the mountain will move. He healed, he touched, he lifted people so they could see their own sense of empowerment. And this was the gift that he was giving them before he gave his gift to the planet. All right. At the beginning of the 3rd year of working, he worked for 3 years. At the end of the 3rd year, of course, he was crucified. But at the beginning, he knew everything. And it says at the beginning of the 3rd year, the disciples had been with him the whole time. They had finally learned enough that he could give them the extra, deeper meanings after 2 years of walking with him. What do you think they were working on for those 2 years? Their egos. Don't you think they were squabbling with each other? Why didn't I get to be one of the 12? Remember, he had followers, and then he made a moment where he picked 12 of them. Why did he pick Joe? I don't like Joe. I'm better than Joe. Why didn't he pick me? I could do it. Don't you think there were squabbles? Don't you think that everybody's... Because we do this. We almost do it automatically. It's an automatic human thing that we've been culturally conditioned to. Competition. 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 I need to be elevated to be better than you. I need to have some value that you don't have so I can have value in me. I need to be different. You are different. We are all unique. We are all valuable. So he told them the deeper meaning of life. He introduced the idea of the metaphysics of the Lord's Supper, which we'll do on Friday. He healed. He told his disciples in the beginning of the 3rd year everything that was going to happen. He said, I'm going to go to Jerusalem. I'm going to be accused. They're going to put me on a cross. They're going to crucify me. And when he said that, you know what Peter said, and I love Peter. He said, Lord, there will be 12 dead men before they get to you. And wouldn't we say the same thing? And what is that? Is that spirit? No, that's our ego. Yeah, I'm going to be there. And Jesus just said, that's okay, Peter. You'll learn. You'll understand. And then he went to tell them he would come back, everything, all the steps of what would happen. 3 days later, he would awaken, he'd redo, his body would be transformed, he'd come to them in a renewed body, told them the whole thing. And you know what they did during that year? They said, what was that parable you were talking about, Jesus? Their minds couldn't understand. That's what our brains do when we can't accept. Instead of saying, Father, Mother God, show me the truth of what I'm being told. Show me the truth of what I'm being told. Let me see your will in me in this moment. What do I need to do? What's my part to play? What is my part to play? There's one time in the Bible where Jesus actually says to Peter, get thee behind me, Satan. Do you guys remember that? Yeah. Peter's doing something. I love Peter. I mean, he's out walking on water too. He's my man. He's my man of faith. But he's saying something. And Jesus says, get thee behind me, Satan, which was an idiom that they would have understood. And it meant, everything you're saying is not in agreement with my path, and you're trying to distract me. Shut up. Get behind. Do not distract me. I know what I'm doing. You do not, you will not, for many years. So be quiet and go. Jesus didn't say, fight with him. Jesus didn't ego up against him. He handled him and put him where he needed to be put, behind the divine guidance he was getting. This is my divine guidance. Just that little example of Peter popping up and trying to say, oh, Jesus, don't do that. Oh, Jesus, don't do that. How often does our Peter in our head pop up when our guidance is to do something? And that little Peter voice in us goes, hey, we walked on water once. Yeah, we know what we're doing. Don't do that. We got the power. You guys with me? Okay. All right. On Palm Sunday, have you seen yourself yet? Not yet. Okay. I'll get you there. On Palm Sunday, I'm just going to paraphrase. Palm Sunday is the beginning of the last week of Jesus' life, and he knows it. There is a great feast in Jerusalem, and the multitudes are there. Their whole story about getting on the donkey, he actually knew where the donkey was. He ordered the donkey. A master teacher riding on a donkey is humiliating. No master teacher would have done that. That's just humiliating in the Jewish faith. He got on the donkey well before they entered Jerusalem. He was in Bethany. And as he's moving toward Jerusalem, the multitudes who have been following him are gathered. The multitudes are gathered. And we don't know how many people multitudes were, but they were gathered and they were throwing the palms before him, and the children were singing, and they were saying, Lord, this is King David, and they're throwing the palms before him. Imagine this is how they entered Jerusalem. With him on a donkey and the multitude of people escorting him, calling him king. Now, you know that up until this moment in time, he never allowed anyone to call him king. He said, I'm not the king. Father, there's only one God. The Christ is in you. You have a king in your heart. He never let anyone call him king, but in this moment he did. In this moment, he allowed them to call him the king in his humble state, because he was getting ready to give the gift of the Christ to the consciousness of mankind through the events that were to occur. The humbling of his ride in was not an example for the people. It was him for his soul. I am getting ready to face this drama that I've known was going to happen. And he was humbling his own spirit to move into that space. And we know what he did. We know he stopped at one point before he entered into Jerusalem, and he cried. He cried, and he said, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, why do you reject God? Why do you bring this upon yourself? And then he went in. And we know that first day he was in there, he was very emotionally charged. He went in and swept the temple of all the money changers once again, the merchants. And there was a tree that was not bearing fruit. And he said, back to the ground. You're taking up the air from somebody in the earth from some plant that needs it. And of course it died. He is so emotionally charged. He is so emotionally charged. He is going through the last layer of his humanness, and that is his personal emotional attachment to the behavior of others. And he stood on at the temple porch where he preached, and he said to the people, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, God would have gathered you under his wings like chicks, but you allowed it not to happen. And he said, there will come a time when not one brick will be upon the other. This temple is going to be completely destroyed. And we know that in 30 years it was. He's standing there, we think 33 AD. In 66 to 67, it was completely destroyed, except for the Wailing Wall that's still there today, completely destroyed by Rome, completely destroyed. People who heard him say that would live to see that happen. The Jewish faith was almost completely destroyed. They were annihilating them. And that's when they became rabbinical faith. They didn't do sacrifices anymore because they had no temple, they had no Jerusalem. Everything was gone. Everything changed. And he knew it, and he's crying for these people, and he's crying for this place. And he's feeling this deep, deep, deep emotion. He's feeling human love. And if you read that day that he walked, he was healing that last aspect of ego. Our human attachments to the activity of others. The next 2 days, Wednesdays and Thursdays, he's completely in his Christ heart. He made it through. And he's loving the people. And he's knowing they're making decisions for their souls. And he's honoring all and preparing for his path. He's honoring all and preparing for what he is going to do. But he was very human in that walk, was he not? He had to go through all of the phases that we have to go through. So for you, Heliopolis, he found himself. He was isolated and tested. Have you been isolated and tested? Some of the times when you find your deepest isolation is when you are supposed to find you. Dig in, let go, find who you are, find yourself. When you find yourself, you find your spirit, you find your soul. Then the master sages honored him. You are the light of the world. You're the light of the world. How often have the words of others made you want to go down the path where you would continue to receive those accolades? Have you ever chosen a path that your heart said, because the praise was there? You would be amazing. You'd be amazing at this. You'd be amazing. Cindy, you'd be amazing if we could just clean you up a little bit and edit some of what you say. And then you'd be like the next best thing. And that's basically what I was told 30 years ago. No, I can't. I can't. I had no idea what the journey was going to be for 30 years. But it's here. And it was of God. No matter what, it was of God. We all will make these choices. We all make the choice. We are asked to make the choice. We are asked to do what our higher self wants us to do. We have to follow our God path, whatever your God path is. Then, after we make that commitment, we have to release our ego. The first phase, trying to test God. Has anybody ever gone into lack just to see if God will help you? I know some people that do. I know other faiths that teach you have to suffer so God can save you. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We are metaphysical here, but oh, yes, it happens. It happens. So we want to not create lack, so we have to turn rocks into bread. We don't want to create that. We don't want to test God, jump up. Catch me, God, I'm jumping off the building. Anybody done that? I know you have. I know you have. And some of you don't fare well at the bottom. Some of you do fine. But you're not doing it with the faith and knowing that you are capable. You're testing. because the ego needs to feel special. And recognition. Recognition. Oh my gosh. I need somebody to see me. We all have that. Somebody's got to see me. Somebody out there? Somebody see me? Because if you see me, then God will love me. But God sees me every day. And who needs to see me? Who needs to see me? I need to see me. I need to see what I'm doing. I need to see what's happening. I need to see me. And as I can move into that, letting go the need to test God, letting go the need to prove that I'm capable of miracles, letting go the need to prove anything to the world. And I can stand in seeing and recognition of me. Be love, Cindy, be love, be love. The next step is even harder. I'm loving you and you're not doing what I want. I am loving you so hard and oh my God, you're putting yourself in danger. Please don't make me hurt. I'm loving you and you're not what? Loving without expectation or attachment to what someone else does. And you can say right here, well, Cindy, that's not possible. Well, Jesus did it. And we do it in increments. The minute we start attaching, we ask ourselves why, and we do the best we can to release it. I'm going to love you whether you fail or succeed. I'm going to love you whether you leave me or not. I'm going to love you because I love you. That's why I'm going to love you. I'm going to love you because I love you. You hear me? That's a hard one. That's mine. That's what I've been working on. You know, over the years, we'd have beautiful people here that are so entrenched in the faith and they get what they need and they're plateaued out and they're cooking, getting money, they're succeeding, they got the wealth going, they got the happiness going, and then they leave. And I'm going, what? But I love you. Why would you leave? Why would you leave? This whole church has been about who you are and who you've become. Why would you leave? Because I'm done. I got what I needed. I'm done. That's Cindy's problem. That's my issue. So many tears. I couldn't tell you how many tears of all the people that left. 30 years of people leaving, guys. 30 years of people leaving. I am learning to celebrate those that leave now. Yay! Got another step. Good for you. Go. Go on. Carry on. You know why? Because those that leave don't forget us. That's the truth. We get a little card every now and then. Somebody will come back and see us. Those that leave don't forget us. So our job is done. Their job is in front of them. Loving without expectation. So that was a personal thing from Cindy. Palm Sunday is about recognition of the Christ. The world bowed to Jesus Christ when he came into Jerusalem that day. Their humanity bowed to the Christ that they could see. They finally could see that this man had something that they needed. And he had taught them every step of the way, what I have in me is in you as well. We can honor and accept that Jesus Christ demonstrated that Christed consciousness in a way that we probably right now are not capable of yet. Maybe, I don't know, some of you maybe. But can we bow to the Christ in us? Can we bow, stop comparing us up to the gift he gave. Stop comparing yourself to that. Stop suffering for that. There are religions that teach you to suffer as he suffered. I'm saying live as he lived, man. Love as he loved. Grow as he grew. He manifested. He did all these things. Do that. And see if you can bow to the Christ in you. The spark of divinity within you that has never left God. The part of you that is perfect and fabulous and wonderful, that allows this part of us to come to this sacred space and make choices. We get to come to this space and make choices. And the gift of being here is that we can choose and we can fail so beautifully. And we can choose again. And we can make a big mess. and we can choose again. And nobody's keeping score. Whatever we choose brings us a result. We decide if we like it or not, and we choose again. We are the divine children of God. And we are here to finally realize what He knew. And if we can bow to our Christ, then we can give the world the gift of our Christ. That uniqueness that we are. We can give that to the world. Humble your heart and let the world celebrate your Christ as you give that gift. Let's go within. Take a breath and just breathe that light of God. And it feels very complicated. But feel God's love just beginning to move through you, and let's breathe in the simple truth of love. Begin to let the simple truth of love move through your body now. God is love, and I am love. God laughs through me. God creates through me. God loves through me. See that beautiful column of light over you, and let's welcome the presence of Jesus Christ to stand by you. And I want you to take his hand and look in his eyes. Thank you. Thank him. Thank you for creating a path that we can follow. Thank you for giving the strength of your spirit to this world that we can touch and access. Thank you for loving us. And as you say those words, begin to feel a very personal love of Jesus Christ coming to you. You are not just one of the masses. There is a personal love coming to you. Feel it as it moves into your heart. And it is a love that has no expectation of you. The love of Jesus Christ for you, your unique, beautiful being, is unconditional. Breathe it in and see if your heart could offer unconditional love to the world. And just breathe and feel that beautiful love of Father, Mother, God. Feel the love of Jesus Christ, the love within you. There's only light. Allow your focus to bring your energy back to the chair in which you sit. The love of God all around you. And I want you to take a breath if you can and send love unconditional to the world. Just send it to mankind. Send it to the world. Mother Earth, the whole, all of life. All are making choices. You make yours. And Father, we thank you that we do get this great opportunity to walk in this world. We are your children, and we are always grateful. And so it is. Breathe and bring your energy back into this moment. I hope you could feel that personal love of Jesus for you. It's very precious and amazing. All right. So next, Sunday is Easter, and we'll celebrate the gift that he did give and celebrate the Christ within us all. So, yay, God.